You're tuned to Radio Kidnappers, voice of Hawke's Bay. This is the Acupuncture on Air program. Our pleasure, as always, to have in the studio, in the hot seat, so to speak, Heiko from the Acupuncture Clinic in Hastings. How you going, Heiko?
I'm very good, Ken, and you. And I heard that wonderful story about you before, that you went to the Gold Coast and had black toffee. And
we were just talking about the lollies that we've got in our reception area, in which you are, welcome to help yourself to. But they're
which I do.
Yeah, which you do. And they're all toffee, and I love toffee. And particularly love licorice toffee. I was in Australia about a year or so back, and came across this shop that sold old English lollies, and they happened to have big blocks of black licorice toffee there. And I said to my wife, I've got to have some of that, haven't had it for years. And she said, well, you're getting older, you know it's going to do to your teeth. And I completely ignored her, to my great expense, because it never let me forget about it. But as soon as I chewed into that toffee, I pulled out my crown.
Because I'm actually going to the Gold Coast next week, so I'll avoid that shop.
No, you go and get some black toffee. You'll love it. Anyway, we're here today to talk about acupuncture, and you're going to talk about acupuncture for scarring. But before we get to that, just remind our listeners where you are, Heiko.
Well, I'm practicing in Hastings. I'm at 206 Charles Street, and then I have another clinic with my friend John, is working in the clinic. His clinic, I should say, down there in Masterton, at 49 Church Street.
And of course, if you listen to the radio, you're hearing this program as we record it, but we can also get it from your website?
We can get it from the website, and it's on YouTube. And now, of course, we've even got the Radio Kidnappers app now,
yes,
which I've got downloaded now, so that's really good.
Or you can visit the Radio Kidnappers website, www.radiokidnappers.org.nz, find Acupuncture on Air, and you can download all of Heiko's programs there.
Yeah, or they can even come in the studio here and sit in the room over there and watch us through the window.
They could come in here. They could have a toffee and come in here. Anyway, I've heard it all now. Acupuncture to help scarring?
Yeah, and as I said, I sort of thought that after we did the show, and then, well, not me, but when we had Pat came in and talked about ulcers. So then sort of, I've had a few inquiries since then. People have started to think, it can do all these different things, because people just have this perception that just treats back pain.
Actually, just on that, when I was looking at that program on what we talked about with Pat for ulcers, I went onto the website because I wanted to put a photograph up on our page, and my God, there's some awful pictures of ulcers. Have you seen them?
Yeah.
Some just about right down to the bone.
Yeah, I know.
Could you help that as well?
Well, I mean, I think, if the acupuncture was able to help in Pat's condition, then you can certainly help if it's more serious or less serious. So this may require a lot more work or more treatment, depending how serious they are.
Okay, tell us about...
And so then I've had a number of patients recently with scarring type problems. Now, there's a couple of things. Some can just be like post-surgery, that they've done some surgery, and then there's just the result that there's scar tissue. The ligaments, I don't know, might be tightened up after some kind of reconstructive surgery. Also, and then there's just in terms of an injury, a cut or even a burn, and then when it scars, and then the skin tightens up, and it can cause. It can cause pain, it can cause stiffness, but then also then there's the visual aspect as well. Yeah.
I mean, I wonder, when we were younger, particularly when we were kids, you got a cut, you got a scar. It's healed not quite overnight, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But now, as you get older, you get a scar, and you've got it forever, really, haven't you?
Yeah, and that's why you find, I mean, I've known some people and read about, like quite young children, even as babies, they've had a horrific burn or something, with boiling water or something, and then you think, wow, that's going to be a horrible scar, but then come 2 years later, you wouldn't even know there was anything there. Now, from a Western sort of medical science perspective, there's a number of reasons for that. One is because we are younger, your whole recuperative power is better, you absorb your nutrients better, and your hormones are flourishing better and all that sort of stuff. But the other one is what we talk about, stem cells, and stem cells are sort of our innate sort of healing potential, and they basically store in the spine, the marrow. So when you injure yourself, you cut yourself, you burn yourself or whatever, you drop a brick on your toe, your body releases these stem cells. The body says, okay, we've got a problem here. So they come out and they go floating around, and then they go down to the area, and then those cells replace the bad cells, and that again convert to the, whether it's a a kneecap cell, or whether it's a toenail cell or whatever. So they can. And when you're younger, this mechanism of the stem cells is a lot stronger. So if you do blood tests with people, aged say from 10 to 90, sort of every 10 years, there's less amount of floating stem cells in the body, because it's part of the
aging process.
The aging process. But be it, there are things that can, release stem cells, because it is a natural occurring thing in the body, and science does tell us that we technically have enough stem cells in us that we can live to be 120 years of age and be healthy.
Yeah.
But be it, it's sort of like it's a bit like you die, but you've got $1 million in the bank, but you've never spent it.
That's right.
Right? And things release stem cells, and one of them is acupuncture. Studies have shown that you can do acupuncture, then 2 hours later there's more stem cells floating around. You can do moxibustion, and then that causes what's called stem cell proliferation, where the actual stem cells then convert to the injured cell or the damaged cell. Yoga, meditation, Tai Chi, and as well as running. I mean, running is also the is an exercise, and any sort of aerobic type exercise. It will release stem cells.
It's amazing. So, I mean, just as an aside from today's topic, so what you're really saying is that acupuncture, by the mere fact that it releases those stem cells and lets them get around your body more, you can prolong life.
That's right, and that's why I think many people say who might just come along and have a little bit of acupuncture once a month or something. They say, I just feel like I have a tune-up. I just feel, they feel a little bit better for it. I mean, I don't think that you could ever have any research to say, people who've had acupuncture, twice a month or once a month for 20 years will live 5 years longer or 10 years longer or whatever. But it certainly improves your well-being. And then I think the stem cell is just one part of it. I mean, the acupuncture does do many things on a sort of Western medical science level, and the stem cells is one of them. You
touched on running, and I do feel a whole lot better. I don't actually like running. I run for it because I want to do a bit of exercise.
Yeah.
But certainly when I come back and recover, I feel a whole lot better for having done it. So is that what's happening when I'm running, that my stem cells are sort of going around the body saying, come on, boy, get going faster?
Yeah, and so this is the dilemma, like with something like whether it's running or whether it's some kind of aerobic exercise in the gym, it will release the stem cells, but then you've got to get that right balance, that because if you do too much running, right, and don't tell me how much is that, but it's different for everybody, for every age, then you're pounding on your shins, you're pounding on your hips, so you're subtly damaging that tissue. So then that's releasing more stem cells, and so part of this, you feel a bit better and everything while you're doing it, but then it goes back and repairs the damage, right? So the trick is, I think, is to do, and you're probably doing the right amount. I mean, it's like it's people who are doing excessive running. Now, what would that be? I couldn't say, but probably an hour a day, 7 times a week is probably too much from a general across the board, and that's why you see some of these people who've done a lot of running, that they don't actually look very healthy.
No, that's right. Interesting that you say that the stem cells are out there working, repairing the body as you go, so to speak. If that's the case, why are we still crook, for instance? Why have I still got arthritis in my thumb? If the body's stem cells are supposed to be out there working, fixing me up, how come my thumb's agony at the moment? Why is that? Yeah,
well, I think because what it is, you get so many stem cells come out. Let's just say on average, a 50-year-old person gets this many stem cells that come out, and if you're perfectly healthy, there's nothing going on, then they'll go out and then they'll nourish the eyes a bit, nourish the ears a bit, nourish the throat, and nourish here and nourish there. But then something does then break down, right? And then so then more of the stem cells start going elsewhere, right? And then something else suffers. So probably what may be happening to you might have a bad gallbladder at the moment, or a bad stomach, or something. So then some of those stem cells are probably going there because that's your body innately knows, well, it's more important that, that his eyes are better than his thumb joint, right?
Yes.
So in that regards, I mean, I think if there are many herbs and things you can take that help to improve, stem cells, yoga, meditation, or whatever. This is why I think many acupuncturists experience that patients, you treat them, right? And I might just be treating you for, say, your sinus, and then you do a course of treatment, and then you sort of at the end of the course you say, actually my thumb is actually feeling a lot better, but you didn't stick any needles in my thumb, and I didn't even tell you about my thumb, because the body just starts to heal and repair itself.
Now, normally when we talk about acupuncture, as our listeners will be well aware, that if I've got a sore ear, you stick a needle in my little toe.
Yeah.
I suppose if I've got a scar on my hand, do you do the same thing, is it?
Again, the answer is yes and no, but we definitely do local work for scar tissue, and we have like a traditional technique that we call surround the dragon. So you basically, like, let's just say you've got a round scar, like a 50-cent piece on your forearm, then you might put 6 needles around the scar, all pointing towards where the scar is. And if you can imagine that the direction of the needle is sending the life force energy, making the blood flow to the area, you don't necessarily have to stick it into the scar. Another technique we might do then is then to build up energy and blood in the body, right? We might work on points for the stomach and for the spleen, and they'll definitely be in the legs, or possibly in the arms, on the back. And so that then points for the liver, we want the blood to be healthier, so we work on liver points. So again, it's a mix of local as well as, we say, what we call distal points away from the action of the area.
Now, acupuncture is also all about meridian lines. What happens if you've damaged your body to the point where the meridian line is also damaged? Is that a bit of a problem for you?
There's a little bit of sort of false information out there where people say, you've damaged there's a scar tissue on that thing, and that's going to be really, really bad. It's not that bad. I mean, people can be still extremely healthy, even though they've had a leg amputated. So you can imagine how much the meridians have been damaged. Yeah. They don't suddenly get gallbladder disease and stomach aches. So then, in that regard, it's not. And I try to explain it like, imagine you've got your railway line going from Auckland down to Wellington, and then the line gets a bit damaged between. Well, I don't even know some of those names. Yeah. Was it National Park and Tekaho or somewhere? And it might be damaged for 10 kilometres. And so then that doesn't affect Wellington railway station.
Exactly.
Right. And so what that means is that they might build the railway station, the railway line, a little side track. If there's been a landslide or something. And this is what Chinese medicine says, is that you get some scar tissue, the channels just find another path.
Yeah. What about moxibustion for scars?
Again, moxibustion, and so again, moxibustion can be used for like ulcers as well, and but definitely we can use what we call like the rice cone moxa, which is the moxa is directly onto the skin, and we light that, and then we sort of take that off before it actually gets down to the skin level. And that we say that this sort of improves the circulation and gets the energy to heal the area.
You've got a note here that moxibustion points to build up the digestive capacity. What's that got to do with scars?
Well, what we do, if we can work on building up, we say, the stomach and the spleen to improve your digestive function, that then makes energy and makes blood.
Right. Yeah.
It's a bit like maximising your potential to metabolise the food that you eat. That's why sometimes I say to people, look, you're spending a lot of money on vitamins and organic carrots and all this sort of stuff. If your stomach and spleen energy is weak, you're not going to digest, you're not going to process the stuff properly. And like, if you've got an old run-down Volkswagen, that there's no point putting in rocket fuel into the engine. Sure. It's not going to make any difference.
Right. Okay, what about old scars or old people with old scars?
And I think that's partly to do with as we age, generally everything gets more difficult to treat. So that if you can get to the acupuncturist earlier on when you have the injury and the scars, it will respond much quicker. And I'm getting a number of referrals now from some of the doctors in Hastings, particularly for this sort of post-operative thing, because they do have through ACC sometimes it might be covered, for injury that's then had surgery and then they need rehabilitation, and sometimes with the physio it might be stretching or doing something, but then they'll also come for have acupuncture just to promote that accelerated healing response. And patients often remark they might have had a run and seen it themselves for 6 weeks and not much has changed, and then they start acupuncture and then they can visibly see it. It's really starting to repair itself.
I suppose from Western philosophy we might use some sort of cream, and now we've talked about acupuncture, we've talked about moxibustion. I suppose you've got a Chinese herb that will... Again,
there are many herbs, but a simple one just for the listeners on the radio that if they have a scar tissue or something, is frankincense oil. Frankincense is traditionally a herb that's from the Middle East, but it's been part of the sort of Chinese medicine herbal pharmacopoeia for a couple of thousands of years. I think probably with the old Silk Road or whatever, they traded it and used it. And so that, and you can buy frankincense oil. I think you can get that from like a health food store or a shop, or different sort of new agey type shops have essential oils. I don't suggest put it on just neat. You get a little bit of a carrier oil, like maybe some almond oil or just even simple cooking olive oil or something. Mix that a bit, couple of drops of essential oil, and then just rub that into the area. You can do that 2 or 3 times a day. That will definitely rapidly help to accelerate the healing of the scar.
Amazing. Okay, just before we get your song of the day, just remind our listeners we want to come and see you. Where are you?
I'm in Hastings, 206 Charles Street. Go to my website, which is acu123.co.nz. I'll put that into the comment section of the YouTube. So please go there and have a look.
And you've got a great song today.
I'm in the good books.
You're in the good books.
Oh, right,
I love this song.
Yeah. I don't know why. I just thought of it out of the blue. It's Bill Wyman.
Yep.
And I'll let you introduce him in case people don't know who he is. But the song is a Jesuit pop star.
Yeah, he's a Rolling Stone, of course.
Yep.
And he wrote the song, and he really wanted Ian Dury to sing it from Ian Dury and the Blockheads. Yeah. But apparently no one could get it to Ian Dury for him to have a listen to. And so someone said to him, a lot of people said to him, do it yourself, buddy.
Yeah.
So he put on a bit of a Cockney accent, because if you listen to the song, it sounds like Cockney singing it.
Yeah.
And the rest, as they say, is history.
Yeah. And it is a fantastic song.
It's a great song. I love it.
I think he will always be remembered for that.
Spent 9 weeks on the charts. Highest point it got to was number 14.
Right.
Here it is.
Thank you very much. We'll catch you next week.